Hello there, and welcome to my review of... Whoa, that is some good quality. Whoo! Anyway, onwards and upwards, I must persist with reviewing the rest of this bloody series, otherwise I'll lose all those lovely 50-odd people who still watch my god-awful reviews, and aim to broaden my horizons in video making before I run out of money and resort to living on the streets without a TV to complain to every Saturday evening. The episode starts with a rather tense atmosphere that I can certainly get on board with. It's very well shot and is kept short and sweet to introduce us to the problem without any bollocks or hassle. When we look at the opening credits, we see it's written by our rather promising writer Jamie Mathewson, writer of The Mummy on the Orient Express. So I have high hopes already for an interesting story to be told. We find out right from the get-go that Danny's perfectly okay with Clara travelling with the Doctor now, which is a relief because we won't have them phoning each other all the time getting all paranoid that they're cheating on each other, which Clara is still kind of doing, but I've covered this topic in previous reviews, so I'll find something else to complain about. The two find the door of the TARDIS has shrunk somewhat and my interest levels have perked up already. The unexplained is something that the show lacks at times, and I appreciate the creativity of what is happening with the shrinking TARDIS, as it makes for good comedy and an interesting plot device to make the episode stand out from others. It must have been very good fun cramming Capaldi and Coleman into that miniature TARDIS while shooting.
Doctor, we're in Bristol!
120 miles from where we should be. Impressive.
No, not impressive. Annoying.
No, this is impressive. This is annoying.
Good, Doctor, good. Glad you finally figured it out. I'm happy to see he's realising the ridiculousness of his shrinking TARDIS compared to the insignificant factor that they're stuck in Bristol, which Clara seems to be more concerned about. We are then introduced to some characters who are on community service, wherein which racial stereotypes are played out instead of building interesting characters. The oppressed minority figure and the racist old man. Unfortunately, we aren't left much time for development as we see the Doctor mucking around with those glasses they put on you when you visit the opticians inside his TARDIS. Clara then gets heckled by the community service workers and one of them chases after her because he's a pervert, just like the rest. You'd have thought this racist old man would have said, "Oi, where the fuck do you think you're going?" instead of just standing there and letting him chase his poor innocent and presumed grieving woman into an alley.
I just do graffiti, not anything, murdery or...
No, you idiot, because if you murdered somebody, you would be in prison, not painting white all over walls. Now stop bothering the poor woman and get back to work before the old man comes back and puts his tongue in your ear. Clara comes back and sees that the TARDIS has shrunk again, but now down to the size of the TARDIS money box I remember owning. This probably isn't quite product placement, but it wouldn't surprise me if the BBC had just grabbed one from the shelves and redecorated it to make it look more authentic. Quite rightly, Clara laughs at it and calls it adorable. I couldn't agree more. This shrinking TARDIS idea is probably the best idea this series has come up with so far. I find myself smiling with sheer amusement, feeling truly hooked into what will happen for the rest of the episode. Seeing the Doctor's face and hands peering out of the TARDIS is outright hilarious, but it is somewhat conflicted with the opening scene that was intense and serious. This goes back to my problem with the show not being sure if it's going for a wacky comedy or a serious drama for people who care about the integrity of the show. However, both ideas are appreciated in my book, so I'm not going to outright slate or praise it just yet. The Doctor hands his screwdriver and psychic paper to Clara, acting as his eyes and ears, which can only mean one thing. Clara will play a larger part in this episode than the Doctor will, and he's going to be stuck inside the shrunken TARDIS until later. This will be fine as long as she doesn't piss me off, which unfortunately she has a tendency to do. Dr. Oswald meets with Rigsy again and she manages to make the sonic screwdriver disappear from her hand just in time to shake his hand. The continuity team seriously needs sorting out for next series, I think. It's getting a bit annoying now. Rigsy takes Clara to the crime scene and she introduces local knowledge to the Doctor in the mini TARDIS. The power from the TARDIS gets drained and Clara's bag becomes Hermione's when she pulls a big sledgehammer out from within. Why the Doctor owns one of those, I don't know, but the comedic genius at play is wonderful to watch. PC Forrest gets sucked up into the carpet and splattered onto the wall, whilst we get some information about these creatures being from a universe that runs on 2 dimensions. This is a fantastic idea and is about to get some more depth, until Danny rings. This part frustrates me to the bone because I thought Clara would be honest with the poor guy, yet she still lies to him. Helping a community offender find his auntie? What a load of bollocks! There are so many other things she could have said that were more believable than that. Not only that, but she didn't need to lie to him. She could have said, Oh, I'm out with the doctor at the moment. No worries. Once we're done, I'll get him to travel back in time as soon as you hang up. I'll be there for our date. Jesus Christ, I have to say, even as she tries to tell this ridiculous lie to Danny, it sounds like she's having sex with Riggsy. Not a good thing for your boyfriend to hear, Clara. Let's just play the audio to prove my point.
Sounds, kind of active.
Yeah. There was a thing. No, I'm fine.
The ball smashes out of the window somehow, and we have more cringy excuses from Clara that make that conversation the worst part of the episode. It's an utter thorn in my side compared to the excellence of the episode. How does this nonsense happen? We find out the probation worker has decided to paint over the missing people, despite those are the missing people, just stuck in a two-dimensional form. Clara gets all the community service workers away from the tunnel, and then we get the issue with little to no depth in other characters, which makes me not give a shit about them when they die. Take George, for example. It might be a cool death, yes, but he doesn't have much development. And I will say this is probably an issue with a TV show that only has 40 minutes minimum to tell a story. However, it is probably down to the fact that Doctor Who isn't a fully continuous show. More details can be found in my Robot of Sherwood review. The characters wobble their way into the train tunnel and this annoying old man is grumbling away because he can. Anyway, the 2D monsters start to have the ability to become 3D, and the end result becomes these spooky, glitchy zombies that are hideously intriguing to say the least. The Doctor's TARDIS allows 2D objects to become 3D objects as well as 3D objects back into 2D objects, and now this whole episode becomes a bit of a dimensional nightmare for the casual spectator. The TARDIS gets dropped onto the tram lines as the result of the old man losing his temper, and the Doctor realises he has only one solution to saving himself and his ship, moving it with his bare hand. This part of the episode is just outright hilarious, and I love it to bits. Even after the initial victory of getting the box off the tracks, he's thrown back into his dilemma again, and this is possibly the strongest the series has been comedically so far. I think in retrospect, the dark nature of the episode and the excellent comedy this episode presents both bounce off each other rather well, in the same way that Shaun of the Dead is an excellent comedy, a good example of a horrifically violent yet hilarious film. I don't know what it is about Mathewson and trains. I hope to God we don't see more of them next year if he's on the writing team again. Riggsy then tries to be a hero and drive the train himself. How he acquired the skills to drive a train we will never know, but Clara takes him off the train to stop him being an idiot, and she finds the TARDIS in defense mode. I feel so sorry for this poor train driver who looks like he has had nothing explained to him upon getting off his train. He's probably wondering what the bleed necker TARDIS is and what the problem is, but then again, a train driver's life probably doesn't get more exciting than what he's experienced today, does it? The Doctor complains about the life support failing, but we all know that the Doctor will survive because he's got another 3 episodes to go before the end of the series. I don't feel sorry for him because of that reason. And this time could have been better spent giving out exposition. Not only that, but it seems all too simple as well that with a zap of the sonic screwdriver the creatures just die. The train driver gives Clara the creepiest kiss on the cheek and hug I have ever seen in the history of TV. So, did it suck? Not as much as other episodes, but I'd give this one a very generous 9 out of 10 because the excellent creativity and humour displayed in this episode makes it stand out amongst the rest of the drivel we've mostly seen this year. A few lessons to be learned, but then again, we will never have a perfect episode of Doctor Who, will we?